Hello, today I'm gonna read this book that's called The Jungle House, and this book is not like the old books I read. This book is two stories. This is, I read for you This Snake Who Came to Stay. You know that. That I'm not gonna read because that's two stories. One is The Jungle House and Who Came to Stay. That's one of The Jungle House is one of the books. The other is the Snake Who Came to Stay. So I'm gonna read The Jungle House for you, not this Snake Who Came to Stay, because I already read it. Okay? Chapter 1, Mr. Crocodile. When Dad told us Granny was going to come and live with us, my little brother Elmo said, "Is she going to sleep in the bath?" "No, she needs her own bedroom," said Dad. "We're going to have to look for a new house." Granny wouldn't live in her own anymore because she kept getting into muddles. She had a black cat called Panther, and sometimes she put dry cat food instead of cat litter into the earth tray where he did his poops. Panther didn't mind, he just ate the food, but he did mind the day Granny put cat litter instead of the cat food in his feeding bowl. Mom and Dad were worried that Granny might start feeding herself the wrong things or leave the oven on. Her forgot to turn the tap off. When we went to look at a lot of houses. The man who showed us around was called Miss Millis, but Elmo called him Miss Crocodile because of his toothy smile. Most of the houses we looked at had sometimes wrong with them, but Mr. Crocodile kept smiling and saying they all charming. Then one day, Mr. Crocodile took us to see an empty house. The path put up the door had thick, tangly bushes growing over it. A pair of butterflies we plotting about. This will be cheering once the gardens all got back, said Mr. Crocodile with one of his smiles, but Elmo and liked it the way it was. Oh my gosh, look how much text, what it called? What?
I don't know, maybe text.
Text, look how much text it is on this book, on this, what it called?
Page.
Look how much. I'm gonna read for you, boy. The front door had a lovely door clock in the shape of a lion head. Inside the house was all empty and there were quite a lot of cupboards. While Mom and Dad walked around slowly talking with Mrs. Crocodile, Elmo and I raced about. We ran up the clever stairs and explored all the rooms and cupboards. One of the bedrooms had a wallpaper with jungle trees and creepers on it and monkeys swinging about. There was a big computer ad in this room. The kind you can walk right inside. The cupboard was an extra large spider web with a big fat spider sitting in the middle of it. "Maybe it's a bird-eating spider," said Elmo. When Mr. Crocodile took Mom and Dad upstairs, Elmo and I raced up to them. "We've got to buy this house," I said. "It's got butterflies and a lion and monkeys and a bird-eating spider," said Elmo. "It's a jungle house." But Mom and Dad didn't look too sure. Even Elmo said he'd give them some. Some say the extra bedroom was too small and dark for Granny. Mr. Mills said the house next door is for sale too, said Mom. "We are going to have a look around that." The lady who lived in the next house next door just wasn't happy when she saw Elmo and me. She made us take our shoes off before she showed us around. We followed the grown-ups around all the boring rooms. Most of them had flowery wallpaper. There was a flower kind of smell too. I think it was from all the polish the fuzzy lady has been using on her tables and chairs. After we left, Elmo said that that was a horrible flower-pot house. "We can't move here. If we do, I run away." But Dad just looked tortured and said that sunny downstairs room just would be just right for Granny. We did move to flower pot house. Mom and Dad and Granny liked it. The partner seems happy enough, but it didn't like home. It felt like home to Elmo and me. Elmo hated the flower wallpaper in his bedroom. He went around singing roses or red, violets or blue shit, a lot of them down the too for the first 3 days. On the third day, they told him to get lost. "All right," said Elmo, I will. And the next thing we knew, he had gone. Chapter 2, the rusty key. Wait, I want to talk to Papa or something.
Oh.
Baba, consolidation.
Oh.
Oh, but now I'm gonna read the book. We looked all over the house and garden for Elmo. We even drove back to our old house in case he had run back there, but he hadn't. We started to get really worried. Then Ad Mom rang the police. While we are waiting for them to come, I had an idea. There was still no one living in the jungle house next door. I went out into our garden, which had short, near grass and snow trees, and climbing over the wall. The grass in the jungle garden was long and swishy. I stood still in the listen. There was a rustle from inside one of the tangled bushes, and out jumped partner. He trotted over to a tall, thick tree, and I followed him. The tree looked very old, and there was a big hole in the trunk, like a doorway. I peered inside. There, curled up and fast asleep, was Elmo. After that, we went to play in the jungle garden every day. Sometimes partner came with us. He chased butterflies. He lived his pretend he was a real partner in a real jungle. One day, partner was chasing some leaves under the hollow tree when it noticed something metal and rusty. It was an old key. And there is now a picture. There they go in they find the rusty key. Here, do you want to see it? Here, this is the picture. This. Maybe it fits the back tour of the jungle house, I said. We didn't really think it would, but when we tried in the keyhole, it did. The door opened with a creak, and we tipped inside. The jungle house looked just like the last time we've seen it, but now there were more cowbears. The spider in the cupboard of the monkey bedroom was looking even fatter than before. That spider must have eaten a lot of birds, said Elmo. We playing jumping down and Chelsea stairs. I do wish we lived here, I said.
Ano ito chapter point to doy halik di po pakikay po doy.
Men du chapter tawawa doa.
Mas.
Well, we can say the Elmo, no one else lives in here, and we got the key. We came back the next day and the day after we made a den in the big computer board of the monkey bedroom. We took over some polish from our house and polished the lion door knob till it shone, but it didn't clean anything else. We wanted the jungle house to stay covered and full of secrets. One day we took partner up, or then the computer wanted him to meet the bird eater. There was saying hello when he heard voices and footsteps. I picked a partner. Elmo closed the door of computer board and they kept very quiet. The footsteps came into the room. We heard Miss Crocodile voice. He kept saying, "Charming." There we heard another man's voice, a soft, mumbly one. He kept saying, "Yes, yes." The footsteps came right up to the cupboard. Someone was trying to do door handle. We pressed ourselves against the wall behind the door. Mrs. Crocodile Crocodile only opened the door a little bit. He said, "Oh, another uses cupboard," and the other man said, "Perfect." The cupboard door shut and the footsteps were going away when something awful happened. Partner wriggled and jumped out of my arm. He landed on the floor with a tug. "Do we have a ghost?" The mumbly voice said. The next moment, Mr. Crocodile opened the cupboard door again and found us. Chapter 3. Bird's Nest. Mr. Bird's Nest. Mr. Crocodile was very angry for one. He didn't give his crocodile smile. The other man, who had a white face and a long gray beard, said 3 ghosts. We couldn't tell if he was angry or not. Mr. Crocodile took us back to the flower pot house. He made us give him the back door key that said we weren't to play next door again, not even in the garden. "Why not?" Elmo said. "No one lives there." The man who was looking around, probably to buy it, said that he don't want you playing there. He must be a very greedy man if he wants the whole jungle house all for himself, I said. Elmo said the man probably had a lot of birds nesting in his beard and needed some rooms for them to fly around. Mom told him not to be silly, but I laughed after that. After that, we called the man Mr. Bird Nest. We really missed playing in the jungle garden. Mom and Dad had started to make a pond in our garden, but it wasn't finished yet. Elmo and I kept looking over the wall at the hollow tree next door. We kept muttering about mean old Mr. Bear's Nest. I want to say something to Papa. Baba. Kasaladesh. Good morning. A few weeks later, a big remover van drew up outside the jungle house. Elmo and I looked out of the window and watched the mean old Lord Mr. Bernet's future. He had a huge long table with blankets wrapped around the top of it. Was much too big for one man. Greedy old Mr. Bernet, said Elmo. He must need an enormous table for his enormous dinners. And look at all those boxes with blankets on top of them. I said, what do you think is in them? I bet it's the crown yellow, said Elmo. At last, we weren't alone to go in the jungle garden anymore. No one could stop panthers playing there. The day after Mr. Bernes moved in, Panther was sniffing around under a hollow tree when the back door of the jungle house opened and a huge strapping cat ran out of punished on him. Panther partner raced back into our garden. So Mr. Bernes got a tiger, said Elmo. When out came Mr. Bernes himself. He had saw at the historic sawing some thin branches of the hollow tree. Oh no, I said. I bet he's going to cut it down. He is evil, said Elmo. The next day we were in our garden when Elmo suddenly shifted, looked and pointed to a window of the jungle house. Someone was standing with their back to the window, and it looked like Granny. Mr. Bernes kidnapped her, said Elmo. Nachau shakat ulampaka. Na. Fakad egla sidor kvar. Fakad några sidor kvar. Fakad 8 sidor kvar. We ran in to tell Mom and Dad. They were busy sticking dinosaur wallpaper up in Elmo's room. Mom just told us not to be so silly. She said that Granny was out passing a little person at the window. Must be someone else. But when we went back into the garden and looked up again, the person had turned around. It was Granny. What more, she was waving to us. She wants us to rescue her, I said. Chapter 4, The Rescue. But how would we rescue Granny? We didn't have the key to the jungle house anymore. Perhaps the back door is open, I said. We climbed over the wall and creeped to the back door of the jungle house. I turned. The handle door creaked open. Let us leave it open in case we have to run for it, I said in a whisper. We had often been in the jungle house before, but this time I felt much scarier. I wouldn't feel my heart thumping. It was tipping around through the kitchen. It was soon as we opened the door from the kitchen into the hall. We heard a noise, a kind of tooting, a squeaking. It was Mr. Bearless birds, said Elmo. It was true. The noise they sound like a lot of birds. It was coming from one of the downstairs rooms. Elmo and I tipped past. We crept up the stairs. When we got to the monkey bedroom, we heard a crowding sound. What is that? I whispered. Just then there was another sound, louder. This time it like a heavy ball falling. What was Granny doing there? And she locked in. I turned the door handle, the door opened. There stood Granny with a long stick in her hand. He was pointing at a white ball which was sitting on the huge long table, within the remote van, and standing next to Granny with another stick was Mr. Baroness. "Oh, you made me jump," said Granny. "It's those ghosts again," said Mrs. Baroness. "We had planned to run it. We saw him, but it didn't seem right." Mr. Baroness was smiling and so was Granny. "I hope you don't mind me borrowing your grandmother," said Mr. Baroness. "I found her on my doorstep." Granny must have got into her muddles on the way back from posting her letter and gone to wrong house. "I asked her in for a cup of tea and a game of soccer," said Mr. Baroness, "and now she's beating me." Just then Granny got the black ball down a hole, which meant she had won. Good old Granny. I never even knew she would play soccer. "Now," said Mr. Baroness, "do you want to meet my friends?" He took us down to the room where we heard all the tweeting and squeaking. When he opened the door, we saw a suite of wire netting right across the room. From floor to ceiling behind the netting were lots and lots of bearing clouded birds, some flapping about and some were sitting on the branches. Mr. Baroness had cut off the hollow tree, and if you wonder why what is called
What?
this who they suck up the blood.
Beat.
They
I don't know what it's called. I had them. Mer skulle jag på det.
They have bite hair. They have bite hair, so it's crying. It's crying. So you wonder why I'm crying here and here, because these are bite there.
You are not so handy. You don't need to take it.
Okay, Mr. Baroness laughed, and he had brought them in cases, covered him with blankets, so it wasn't the crown jewel, said Elmo. Then he looked worried and said, "Those birds had better watch out of the bird-eating spider." Mr. Baroness said it was all right. He had put the spider out in the garden where it was quite happy eating flies. After that we were all friends except for Tiger and Partner, and they seemed to enjoy behind enemies. Mr. Baroness didn't cut the hollow tree down. Instead, he built the den up in the branches for me and Elmo. It had a door and a window and a rope ladder to climb up to it. So now we have our own jungle house. It doesn't have monkey, walper, or a horse, but when Mr. Baroness found out how much we liked the lion door knocked, he took it off his own front door and put it on the tree house, and I guess your grandmother even comes visiting. That's all this for this video. If you want, I can read the next book that's called The Snake Who Came to Stay, but I think I'm not gonna read this because I already have read this for you. But I like this book. This book was good, fun, and easy to read. And now I'm gonna say bye-bye. Bye-bye.